The Honourable Member for York-Durham.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm following up this evening on a question I asked earlier in the month in question period on the economy. And of course, one of the most important parts of our economy is our two-way trade with the United States. And of course, we know that there are significant difficulties there right now, and that unfortunately our negotiations are stalled, and the Liberals haven't really got very far, unfortunately, with our American counterparts there. But I want to specifically ask the Parliamentary Secretary if the government is following the ongoing Supreme Court case that's taking place and is expected to release a judgment shortly. I believe it's called VOS Selections, and it deals with a challenge to the President's imposition of tariffs under the IEEPA legislation. So I'd like to know if the Parliamentary Secretary could advise the House if the government is following this case, and if they are, if they have a view on what the outcome of that case would mean for Canada, whether the court strikes down those laws or whether it upholds the President's authority.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Energy and Natural Resources.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Of course, a case that we're following very carefully. I will note that this is probably a question better targeted towards the Justice Minister, but I will say that in terms of view of the case, one of the things that we are aware of is that while this is a lever that the President has used in the United States, there are other levers, and so we should not assume that just based on that case that our problems will go away. The reality is the Americans have decided they want to change their trade relationship with the world. And we need to manage that situation. We need to do it in order to make sure that we are protecting the various businesses that are being deeply affected, such as softwood lumber, such as steel. And there are also realities that we are somewhat supported at this point from the fact that we have the best trade deal with the United States, with 85% of our products being essentially tariff-free. And so, yes, it's a complicated situation. It's something we have to watch closely. There are many opinions, I'm sure, in the Justice Department. I have opinions myself. I'm sure International Affairs has opinions. But we cannot assume that any resolution to a court case in the United States will resolve our particular challenges here north of the border. It is incumbent on us to go out and build our own destiny. That includes diversifying trade relationships with the world, as the Prime Minister has done. That includes building the infrastructure to make us self-sufficient, which we are doing right now through the Build Canada Act. And that includes thinking of ourselves differently as Canadians and making sure that we are doing what is necessary to protect Canada during these trying times.
Honourable Member for York-Durham.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was actually very encouraged by the member opposite's response, because I think I agree with him. My own view is that this case is dealing with tariffs that were imposed under the IEEPA legislation, and in fact the industries that are most hard hit, which the member mentioned, which are steel, aluminum, lumber, autos, have nothing to do with IEEPA. They are with steel, aluminum, and autos, those are Section 232 tariffs, and lumber, of course, is also anti-dumping and countervailing duties. So I'm glad to hear the member agrees, and maybe he could just confirm his view that even if the court strikes down the President's authority under the IEEPA legislation, that will do nothing and provide no relief for our hardest hit industries.
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. That's just the simple reality of it, Mr. Speaker. However, I do think that it would put additional pressure on the United States to potentially come to the table. Hopefully that's something that could be leveraged by our negotiators to get strong deals for our affected sectors. It is just very painful to see. And of course, this government needs to be there for them as those sectors are dealing with pain. So I'm proud to be part of a government that has invested significantly in supports for affected industries, not just in the short term, but also helping them reorient towards the rest of the world, finding new Canadian markets. And I'd like to just end on the same note of I'm glad we're in agreement. I welcome the member opposite to work with me. We're here to support Canada, all of us.